Change is the only constant in life, as famously stated by the philosopher Heraclitus. Like everyone else, I am no stranger to change. As I prepare to take a short break from my hobby, I wanted to share a compilation of my best works from 2020 to 2024 in a single video. These creations represent some of my finest efforts, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I have enjoyed creating them. I began my hobby in 2020 with discus fish. I raised cobalt blue discus from a size of 3 inches to 8 inches. After keeping them over a year, I eventually sold them before embarking on a month-long trip to India, my home country. Leaving discus fish unattended for such a long period poses significant risks which I choose to avoid. On the other hand, planted tanks are a different experience. They create a self-sustaining ecosystem where ample food sources are available for the inhabitants as long as the fish population and bioload are kept low. I maintained this 10-gallon planted tank for more than 1.5 years with great success. Over time, I transitioned all my aquariums to CO2 supplemented planted tanks, both for easier maintenance and the enjoyment of having a self-sustaining ecosystem. When I talk about a self-sustaining ecosystem, many people assume I mean tanks that require no water changes. However, I am not an advocate of that approach. In my experience, both flora and fauna thrive with regular maintenance and proper water changes. I have had considerable success using this method, and it's something I continue to follow. A prime example is my 50-gallon planted tank, which originally housed the discus fish but has since been upgraded to a planted tank. While I have changed the aquascape a few times over the years, the plant species have remained the same for about 3.5 years. I initially started with a small number of epiphyte plants, which eventually proliferated, filling up the tank with healthy vegetation. This tank had been a great source of enjoyment for me. Over time, I also replaced the fauna, and the tank even experienced prolific breeding, leading to a bit of overpopulation. I maintained a 15-gallon and a 10-gallon tank, following a similar approach for both. Initially in the 10-gallon cube, I kept shrimp, but later transitioned to housing a dwarf gourami along with some small fish. My tanks are predominantly filled with epiphytes, a style that complements my approach to fish keeping. I don't have to trim the plants often, yet I still enjoy the beauty of a lush green planted tank. Epiphytes are a type of plant that don't require substrate and can thrive when attached to a rock or driftwood. Example: Java fern, Anubias, bouquet philandra, and various types of moss. Because of my tanks lack a traditional substrate, they are cost effective and easy to rescape without much hassle. I use a very thin layer of inexpensive sand as a substrate, mainly to enhance the aesthetic appeal. The only drawback to this type of setup is that it takes time for the tank to develop and achieve that desired appearance. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be taking a short break from hobby. However, it will be quite difficult for me to stay away from it for long. For me, aquascaping is much more than just a passion, it's a way of life. I feel more at home with an aquarium than without one. I hope to reconnect with you all soon. Until then, take care and goodbye.